Judge, I must add that I'm thoroughly impressed by Your Honor's knowledge of the amounts that are covered by DHS. I might have to call the court and ask, and in my other
And
cases in different districts.
oh, really? Okay.
I don't think
I'll
any
tell
other
you.
judge, I don't think any other judge is aware of any formula or whatever that's used by DHS to calculate the amounts that are covered.
Gosh, what's that again?
Okay, did you catch that? That's not just humor. That's judicial confidence mixed with approachability. Judges who can lighten the room like this often control the courtroom better because people listen when authority feels human. But here's the real question. Is this just charisma or calculated control?
I'm brilliant. That's why. No, I'm kidding. Um, here's here's what I'll do. We have a chart here, and I'll just have my staff send that over to you.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate that.
Right? Okay. Haverhill on Clark versus Kristen Russell.
Rania Haddad for the plaintiff.
And I think he's here. There he is.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Russell.
Hello.
All right. What is plaintiff's claim?
Your Honor, it looks like this is just a
Let's break this down. That $114 might sound small, but legally, it's everything. In eviction court, even a minor unpaid balance can keep a case alive. However, notice the strategy here. The plaintiff is signaling willingness to dismiss if paid. That's called a conditional resolution, and it's often the fastest way out for defendants.
residual balance of $114. That does not include the attorney fees and costs of $170. So he does have a total of $284 with the attorney fees and costs. This is a situation where if he just pays off the balance of 114, we'd be inclined to dismiss the case.
Sir?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. When do you think you can get this paid?
Well, probably in the next couple months. I did have an unexpected medical test that wasn't covered by insurance, so that's what got me backed up. But my previous balance was paid off through, I think, SOS Community Services.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Now we're getting into the real tension, rental assistance programs. These are lifelines, but they come with strict limits and rules. The judge is doing something crucial here, fact-finding to build a realistic payment path. This isn't just questioning, it's problem-solving in real time.
Um, so you've already used Hawk and got that paid off. And so now you're in a situation. Are you currently working or
I'm on disability, fixed income.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Your monthly rent going forward,
Uh-huh.
are you going to be able to get that covered or
Yeah, I have been able to pay, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 months. I have been paying, but there was no, I guess, paperwork snafu between the landlord and RPI management, who hold my Section 8. And
gotcha?
yeah, it took a while to get that completed. So,
Okay. So what's your monthly portion, sir? 279?
yes.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Uh, with the circumstances that you're in, you've got to get this back balance paid, but it sounds like to me you're going to be trying to pay that in addition to what your monthly rent is.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
Pause right here. This is a power move. An adjournment isn't just a delay, it's an opportunity window. The judge is essentially saying, you've got time, don't waste it. But here's the question for you. Would you be able to fix this in 2 weeks under pressure like that?
So what I'm going to adjourn this out to May 8th, 2026 at 1 p.m. That's an in-person hearing, sir, okay?
Okay.
But in the interim, why don't you contact management or the attorney's office and see what type of, if you can just cover this in the next, like you said, 2 months. Sounds like in your mind, you kind of worked it out as to how you can get this cleared.
Yes.
See if you can work that out. They can do a conditional order dismissal and be done with it, okay?
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next, or in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
take care. Haverhill on Clark versus Myra South.
Good morning, Ronnie Haddad for the plaintiff.
She's here. Oh, did she disappear?
Hi.
There she is.
I'm here. Hi, Your Honor. Good morning.
Hello, Miss South. How are you?
Whew, I've been better. Not
Okay.
great, but I'm here.
All right.
Yeah.
What is plaintiff's claim? Let's see where we are.
Yes, Judge, I'm showing rent to retain in the amount of $5,995.78. Attorney fees and costs in the amount of $170 for a total redemptive amount in the amount of $6,165.78.
OV, and just like that, the stakes skyrocket. We went from a $114 balance to over $6,000. This is where cases turn serious. Add in possible damages, that number could climb even higher. This isn't just about rent anymore, it's about financial survival.
I do need to note for the record, Your Honor, that it has just come to my attention that there are some damage charges that might be assessed before the next hearing date for some damages caused by the defendant's, I believe it's the defendant's son. I just wanted her to be aware of that because this number that I am stating on the record is likely to change at the next hearing.
Okay. All right, Miss South. What happened? When do you think you can try to get this paid? I mean, what do you have in mind?
So, Your Honor, this has been a long process. It originated when I lost my job back in November. Long story short, I've been working recently with Friends Indeed, the Disability Network, and who else? And then, so I applied for help through, it's called Men's and Women's Working for a Change, as well as Ypsilanti Thrift Store, to see if they can help because Hawk would not pay or will not help until the balance is under or 3,000 and under. I've been making monthly payments of about $2,000. So I mean, I still plan on paying my payments every month. I make a payment of the rent itself by the 5th, and then I make an additional payment of $350 on the 25th. So it's just been a work in process. I just got another job. I'm going through that. I'm waiting on my fingerprints and everything to be sent off because for my massage license. Okay. So I'm praying that I get my job within the next month.
South.
Yes.
I got you, and I realized I asked an open-ended question. All right, do me
I know,
a favor.
and I will keep going. No. I'm stressed.
It's okay.
You're gonna hear it all.
This moment, right here, this is rare and powerful. The judge isn't just hearing facts, he's recognizing stress. Courtrooms can feel cold, but moments like this remind us real lives are on the line. And honestly, how often do you see a judge pause the law just to acknowledge someone's humanity?
I was hearing everything you said. Just take a breath, okay? It sounds like you're trying to get yourself through this. It sounds like there may be some other charges coming. We'll deal with that, but let's figure out how we can at least try to see a way to get you to ground zero if we can. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So the first thing is in the packet, there is a rental assistance form.
Yes, sir.
You need to fill that out, get that to the court by this Wednesday upcoming. All right, with that information. All right.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And then I'm going to adjourn it out to May 8th, 2026 at 1 p.m. That's an in-person hearing.
Yes,
So
sir.
now, by that point in time, you said you pay what, 2,000 or what's your rent on the 5th?
So I pay my actual rent by the 5th, and then I pay an addition of $350 every 25th. So by
Okay.
that time, I'm gonna pay my payment tomorrow, and then I'll have Meg's rent paid by the 5th. So it will be done
Okay.
by the time
I
I see
got you.
you.
Your
So
Honor, if I
let me
may,
just let
if I may,
let me just go ahead.
I think she's referring to a previous
Yeah.
conditional dismissal. So she has to understand that conditional dismissal, although we did not file, I believe we are under new management. We have a new property manager. So the previous property manager did not keep up with all of those. So we weren't able to reinstate the case. So we had to file a new case instead. So the previous
Got it.
agreement pursuant to the conditional dismissal has now expired. And so now we are in court for this new balance. So whatever payment arrangement she had before, we obviously, whatever agreement we enter into is going to be the new agreement. So
Okay.
she can still continue to pay additionally if
Yes.
she needs to, just
That's
to
what
pay down the balance,
yes, yes.
but that payment arrangement no longer applies.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
because
you.
that's passed. Okay. So Ms. South, you're gonna pay $350 on
I plan on
the
doing it
20.
tomorrow. Yes.
All right. So I'm just gonna mark my file that you're gonna pay that on the 25th. And
Yes,
then
sir.
by May 5th, you're gonna pay what, your 1,700 or about $1,800?
Yes, sir. 1712.
All right. All right. So May 5th, you're gonna pay 1,712. All right. Let me ask you this. Did Hawk take your application?
No, they pretty much halted. They said I have to get either a promissory note or I have to pay that balance down, pay the 2,800 down before they assist. So yeah.
Okay, I got you. So they want some agreement that you reached with the landlord or something that
Or yes. Or
that would
by
allow
another.
the amount in excess of the 3,000 to be paid in some fashion.
Yes, sir.
All
Or
right.
I have to
So
have the
why
help
don't you,
from, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. So
I was just,
if you can talk with your management and see if they're willing to do that. I realize you've had a previous conditional order dismissal, but at least the worst they could say is no to you, right?
right.
And then we're back in the same boat. So reach
Okay.
out, see if you can work something out along those lines. That way,
Okay.
at least maybe $3,000 can come in, and then you can figure out how to get this other part down. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I'm trying, and I mean, I'm doing, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
It's okay. I realize you're trying. Sometimes we try and it just we look up and we think we haven't gotten anywhere, but you're at least trying to keep yourself from going further in the hole. And that sometimes that's part of the process additionally. Okay?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Haverhill on Clark versus Jerome Taylor.
Yes, good morning, Rania Haddad for the plaintiff.
All right. And there's Mr. Taylor. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I think I'm okay. All right. What is plaintiff's claim in this case?
Yes, Your Honor, we are showing rent to retain in the amount of $2,770, attorney fees and costs in the amount of $170 for a total of $2,940.
All right. And so he is directly under 3,000. I have a note. He had an appointment with Hawk on April 21st. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
And they're waiting on documents from the tenant and the leasing office. And so they would go ahead, sir.
I submitted all the documents I needed for Hawk with
Okay.
them, and Same with DHS. So I'm just waiting back to hear from them.
Okay, so you also have a DHS. All right. So how many people are in your unit?
Just me.
Okay, so that's about 410 of this amount. How much your monthly rent is around 1310? Is that right?
1335.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. I need you to fill out in your packet the rental assistance form. Put what agencies and other things that you're applying to on that form. Get that to the court by next Wednesday. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, so here's what's going to happen. By the time you come back before me, the balance is going to be over the 3,000 cap for Hawk. Okay. So my question to you is, between now and say the 7th of May, what can you pay?
Between now and the 7th, I can pay at least 400 on the rearage. And with the May rent coming up, I wouldn't be able to pay that in full until after the 12th with the current income
Okay.
status
All
I
right.
have.
So I get how you did your math. All right. Oh my goodness. Everybody, I have to stop for a moment because waving at me in the screen is Judge Slay. The famous Judge Slay is there, the FOC. Hello, Judge Slay.
Hi, Judge. How you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. I heard your voice as I was walking by, and so I had to stop and say hi.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. And I will say, Ms. Mazur is with you, and I'll just take a moment. The setup of the friend of the court being in our landlord-tenant hearings was your idea. It is working out fantastically for everybody, and you deserve all the credit in the world for making that happen because it's helped us with a number of cases. So
Sarah is
thank you.
fantastic. Thanks for letting us be a part of your docket. And as Hannibal Smith would say, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes, indeed. I'm still
Don't
trying
age
to
me.
get Miss Mazur as a Maryland Terrapin to take down that Michigan thing in the back, but she won't do it.
Just hold her in contempt.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Sorry
you.
to interrupt.
Not a problem. Take care. All right. So, sir, here's what's going to happen. I get what your math was.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to be looking at the sort of full number. So, if that makes any sense to you. So, what I've got right now is you're at about 2940. Your monthly rent, you said it was 1335 or something.
Yes.
All right. So 1335. And so when I do my math, if I'm doing it correctly, I'm looking at coming into May, a total amount of about 4275. Got that? And I'm not including any late fees that might kick in. I'm just looking at that number. And in order for Hawk to pay, which is going to be the big balance, I've got to get this number back to the $3,000 range.
Right.
You okay? So if you're going to pay 400 and then that you'll pay that by when, sir?
I can pay that by the 30th.
All right. So pay that 400 by the 30th. And then you said by the 12th, how much do you think you can pay?
The 12th, I can pay the full 1335 for May.
Okay. All right. I got
As long
you.
as the rearage gets taken care of, I should be okay going forward.
So Your Honor, may I
Right.
suggest that he just pays May's rent so we can keep the arrears below that?
Right. That's
But
what
I
I'm
want-
trying to make sure that happens, but he won't have that until the 12th.
Correct. And then late fees, I know they will tack on by then. So
I got you. I get it. I'm not great at math, but I think I got it worked out in my head, kind of. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll adjourn you out until the 8th. Let's make sure that 400 goes in. All right. And also that to see I think if you got your documents in, then they're going to be waiting on documents from the landlord. Let's see where Hawk is at that point, and then see what we can arrange to try to get you all caught up. Okay.
My client
So
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
my client does indicate that I did ask if she has been in communication with Hawk for a request of documents, and she indicates that to her knowledge, she has not received anything from Hawk. So I would just ask that the defendant just maybe communicate to Hawk that our management is not aware of any documents requested, because if that's going to be the delay, I would rather just get ahead of it beforehand.
Yeah, no, I got you. And so we'll do that, and then Anne, because since we don't have a person here, which I'll say again is just a travesty, but can you send an email maybe to Amy or somebody just indicating that the landlord is indicating they haven't heard anything? So this note they sent us doesn't do me any good if the landlord doesn't know.
Yes. Thank you, Judge.
All right. So do that, Mr. Taylor. And then what'll happen is we'll see you on the 8th. We'll see exactly where we are, and hopefully we can get this all taken care of somehow. All right.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Haverhill on Clark versus Lewis Wall.
Bonnie Haddad for the plaintiff.
Okay.
How you
Yes, he
doing?
is. Okay, Mr. Wall. Oh, there you are. All right. How are you, sir?
Good.
All right. All right. What is the amount owed?
I am showing rent to retain in the amount of $3,925, attorney fees and costs in the amount of $170, for a total of $4,095.
All right. All right. Mr. Wall, how are you intending on getting that paid?
One thing I want to address is my paper says 2,500.
Okay, so I bet you're looking at the complaint, and right, your complaint was at 2,500, but when you go down to the bottom, that's through March.
Okay.
So your April rent has kicked in.
Okay. All right. I could
Okay. All right.
to ask about if I could approach those same services like the emergency fund and see if they can assist, and the other SOS fund.
Right. Okay. Have you applied through DHS yet or no?
No, I reached out to another one, the shelter service, and I think they were just telling me that at that time I didn't qualify because it was I explained about my medical bills that were backed up and said it was something else, you couldn't use that for their service.
Okay, so have you called Hawk yet?
Yes, that was about medical bills that didn't apply or wouldn't help out or whatever.
Okay, so they're saying they can't help you?
Yes. Well, they couldn't go any further when we started talking. When we have they asked me a couple quick questions and said they couldn't go any further.
Because of medical bills?
Well, I was explaining my whole situation, how I got into it, but then they looked at, I just didn't qualify when I gave basic information.
All right, let me ask you this. Are you working right now or
Yes.
have any source? You are?
Yes.
This entire sequence shows the balancing act of eviction court, law versus reality. Judges aren't just enforcing rules, they're navigating financial hardship, system limits, and human emotion, all at once. And the biggest takeaway? Sometimes staying housed doesn't come down to winning or losing. It comes down to timing, assistance, and whether the system bends just enough.